This is Chapter 4 of Martial God Asura. Enjoy the episode, and let's get started. Chu Feng had heard of the infamous fierce beasts. They were a type of creature that could cultivate. They were divided into 9 ranks according to their strength, and they corresponded to the 9 levels of the martial cultivators in the spirit realm. However, from rumors, the strength of a rank 3 fierce beast was far stronger than a martial cultivator who was in the 3rd level of the spirit realm, and rank 3 fierce beasts could even be compared to cultivators at the 4th level of the spirit realm. That was why, even if it was Chu Feng, he didn't dare to be arrogant. He knew that there was a mechanism in the main hall, and when it was triggered, the fierce beasts would appear. Bang! Suddenly, a heavy noise resounded, and the stone doors that locked the fierce beasts started to open. Strange. I didn't even enter the main hall. Why did the stone doors open? Chu Feng was astonished. Bang, 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 bang. But quickly after, the 40 stone doors at the side of the main hall all opened. That completely stunned Chu Feng. It was because in the darkness behind those stone doors, pairs after pairs of blood-red eyes opened and a heavy bloodlust filled the entire main hall. Damn, this isn't a joke, is it? Chu Feng cursed. He clearly heard that in the last round of every exam, there would be one fierce beast. But what was this situation? Wah! Chu Feng didn't have much time to think about it too much, because in front of his eyes, densely packed shadows leaped out from the stone doors and entered the main hall. He could clearly see that the shape of those creatures were similar to tigers, but double their sizes. Their entire body was jet black, and you could see their blade-like claws and ivory, as well as their pairs of blood-red eyes. There were a total of 40 fierce beasts, and since their appearances were not too different, they should be of the same kind. But upon closer inspection, Chu Feng found out that there were strange lines on their forehead. Clearly, it was the mark of their rank. Wah! Just at that time, one of the fierce beasts growled and cast its gaze towards the high platform in the deeper parts of the main hall. Simultaneously, the gazes of all the fierce beasts were cast towards the high platform, and they started to drool. Damn you robbers! Seeing that, Chu Feng was angered. How could he let these fierce beasts take the precious treasures? With a curse, he rushed towards the platform. Wah! Just as Chu Feng entered the main hall, it quickly attracted the attention of the fierce beasts. That was quite good for him. A total of 40 fierce beasts all concurrently gave up on the Saint Spirit grasses, and they all surrounded Chu Feng and attacked him. It was as if to them the blood and flesh of humans was more attractive than some spiritual medicine. Move! One rank 2 fierce beast attacked head-on. But with a punch from Chu Feng, he blew off its head. It was unable to even survive a single strike. However, also at the same time, quite a few fierce beasts surrounded him and attacked. The terrifying killing intent was enough to make one's entire body tremble. But Chu Feng did not panic. He was as vigorous as a monkey, jumping left and right as he went back and forth within the crowd of fierce beasts. Every time he attacked, there was at least one fierce beast that died. At that time and moment, compared to the cruel fierce beasts, Chu Feng was an even scarier monster. Every part of his body was like an indestructible sharp weapon. Despite the rough skin and thick flesh of the fierce beasts, they could not withstand a strike from Chu Feng. At that moment, Chu Feng could feel that not only was the endless spiritual energy surging in his body, there was also the 9-colored divine lightning that he loved and hated. It was this divine lightning who gave him such strong power and forged a perfect body for him. Grr! Just as Chu Feng was killing furiously, a sharp growl came from behind. When he turned around to look, he couldn't help but be surprised. The sharp claws of a huge fierce beast was heading towards his head. That huge claw was different from the others, as it was quite a bit stronger than the other fierce beasts. If he got caught in it, his brain would certainly shatter. Whoosh! Chu Feng reflexively jumped back as he attempted to dodge the huge claw, but the claw's speed was really too fast. Although Chu Feng's brain dodged the damage, the claws still landed on Chu Feng's chest. Ah! 5 bloody wounds were torn into his chest, and the fatal pain made Chu Feng cry out loud, "I will tear you apart!" Other than feeling the pain, Chu Feng was even more angry. He already saw that there were 4 lines on the forehead of the fierce beast that attacked him, indicating that it was a rank 4 fierce beast. If he was some other person, then without a doubt, that person would turn around and run. Who cared if they were in the same level of cultivation? The power of the fierce beast would undoubtedly be stronger than the humans. But not only did Chu Feng not escape, he even crazily pounced towards that fierce beast. The movement, which had no care of his life, made even the unintelligent fierce beast hesitate subconsciously. Clang! As the fierce beast hesitated, Chu Feng solidly landed a punch on its forehead. But there wasn't the explosion of blood as expected. Rather, there was a loud sound, as if steel and iron collided. Even Chu Feng felt a wave of achiness from his fist, and it was as though the punch didn't land on the head of the fierce beast, but rather landed on a copper and iron wall. Wah! Chu Feng's punch was no small matter. The fierce beast wailed, and it even backed off a few steps. It was obvious that it also felt the pain. Die for me. Seeing that his attacks had some effect, Chu Feng didn't hold back anymore. Swinging his arms, the after-images of the punches filled the air, flew in all directions, and his heavy fists were like a storm. They continuously punched the body of the fierce beast. It had to be mentioned that Chu Feng's exploding strength was too strong. Under the insane attacks, the fierce beast that was a few times larger than him was pushed back. The other fierce beasts that wanted to launch a surprise attack on him also undoubtedly received a punch and got killed just like that. At the end, all 40 fierce beasts were completely killed by Chu Feng. Large amounts of bodies and heads were in strange areas, and their death were extremely wretched. The body of the rank 4 fierce beast was still intact. However, its huge brain was deflated by Chu Feng as it was alive. The current Chu Feng was standing in a pool of blood, and he was deeply gasping for air. After that bloodbath, more frightening wounds appeared on his body, but they weren't enough to kill him. Other than the attack of the rank 4 fierce beast, the wounds caused from all the others were only simple bruises, and they didn't even scratch him. How strong is this fearful body? It was a question that Chu Feng asked himself. Compared to those fierce beasts, he felt that he had steel for tendons and iron for bones. That body exceeded the limits of humans, and once again he recognized his specialness. After looking around with his eyes, Chu Feng leaped on the tall platform. Without even looking at them, he took the martial skill book and the Saint Spirit grasses. After doing that, Chu Feng didn't plan to open the huge closed door. He went back towards the direction in which he came from and re-entered the mechanism stage. Before Chu Feng left for long, within the stone room that closed the fierce beasts, a dozen or so shadows walked out. The one who led person was Su Rou. At that moment, whether it be Su Rou or the aged elders, their expression were very strange. They only saw Chu Feng continuously hitting the already dead rank 4 fierce beast. But to think that so many strong fierce beasts were only killed by one youth? It was unimaginable. "Elder Li, who is that child?" Su Rou inquired. Elder Li did not respond. He looked at the other elders behind him, but all the elders shook their head. "You don't know what the name of such an outstanding disciple is." Su Rou's brows wrinkled, showing some displeasement. "There are simply too many outer court disciples. If he was hiding his strength, then we—" Elder Li's face was full of helplessness. "Whatever. Hurry up and find out about his background, then tell me. Also, if he doesn't want to expose his strength, then leave it as he wishes, and don't let him know that we are trying to understand his power," Su Rou instructed. As you wish. Elder Li and the others respond respectfully. While facing this inner court elder, they didn't dare to be unrespectful. Su Ro looked deeply and meaningfully at the direction in which Chu Feng left in, and only then did she enter the stone room while contemplating.